Good morning, everybody. It is Jeannie Fisher, a certified financial planner with Argy, and I gave you a teaser to this video last week. This video is for anybody interested in investing in residential real estate for the long term. Now, I'm not an expert by any means in this topic, but I do have some experience, and I wanted to approach this topic in a really personal way, like what we did, how we did it, and why. So I'm sure some of you guys have some great ideas yourselves, like comment below, give them back to us. We'll just go ahead and start this conversation about investing in real estate. The first thing I did years and years ago was read the book, The Millionaire Real Estate Investor by Gary Keller. This is a really good compilation from a lot of people who made wealth in real estate, kind of their insights. It was a great kickoff for me to kind of really think through how I wanted to do this. And the primary question that book posed was, do you want to invest time or do you want to invest money? Of course, the more time you invest, the more money you'll make. The less time you invest, the less money you'll make. And I kind of went back and forth on this. When I first started, I invested a whole lot of time managing every aspect of it that I could to make as much money as possible. And then I kind of overcorrected and I outsourced to a management company. I didn't like the loss of control. I didn't like the lack of transparency. So now I've kind of corrected back, and it's really a blend where I manage certain things, but then I have a couple of people that I rely heavily on that I trust a whole lot to do the rest. So you got to decide time or money. And then the second thing you have to do is build your squad. My squad actually consists of one handyman who can do pretty much anything. This is not his full-time job. It's his part-time job. But anytime there's a minor maintenance issue, he can take care of it in a really efficient way. And I rely on him quite a bit. The other person I rely on actually does my turns, my cleaning turns. So when a unit opens and we have to prep it for the next tenant, she handles that from top to bottom. And she also handles the leasing. And so being able to outsource those two things, leasing and then the cleaning and maintenance, was a really significant time saver for me, but I still actually get to handle the finances. So I collect all of the rent, I pay all of the bills, I do tenant management, I handle evictions. That helps me kind of keep a little bit more of an eye and control over the property as a whole. One thing I learned was fully outsourcing that type of thing to somebody else. You lose control, and they probably aren't going to manage it as closely as you would, right? Anytime it's not theirs, they don't manage it as closely. So that's what I do. Now, if you think about buying real estate, the thing that keeps most people out of the market is actually having the cash to make the down payment on a property. I bought my first property when I was 24. I did not have cash for a down payment. Luckily, I was able to actually purchase a property at a kind of underappreciated price. And in doing so, I built equity really quickly. And then with a really great local banking relationship and a good credit score and those assets, I was able to collateralize other equity to buy more property. And then it just starts to snowball, right? The more equity you build, the more you can collateralize. So I was actually able to get into the market with zero down. Granted, this was in the real estate market 10 years ago. So I had the benefit of financing on my side and a slump in the market. If you can do that, if you can collateralize other assets and get in with zero down, think about that from an investment return perspective. Like you can't even calculate an investment return on a $0 investment. So that's definitely the way you want to get in if you can. If you can't get in for zero down, get in for as low as you can, because that's where you really make your profit in real estate, right? You're leveraging somebody else's money to make money. So the more you can finance, the better. I look for two things when I'm looking to purchase a property. And again, there's different ways you can do this. This is just what has worked for me. First off, I want a newer property that is in good shape. Okay, I'm not a flipper. I'm not in it for a fast buck. I'm in it for the long run. I want a property that I'm not going to have significant maintenance issues with. I want it to be well maintained. I want it to be reliable. The second thing I'm looking for, and this is my non-negotiable, the property has to cash flow, right? Like I don't like to invest actual money, okay? Right, we're using our brains here. I need that property's income to cover all of that property's expenses, okay? So you have to do significant analysis on what are the rental rates for the area? What expenses can you expect? The principal, mortgage, the interest, the taxes, what's it going to cost to mow the lawns? Think about turns, think about cleaning, think about carrying utilities when a property is empty. Overinflate the expenses, assume that property tax rates will increase. I mean, you have to look at everything. Look at the cash flows it generates, and then stress test that. What does this look like at 95, 90, or 85% occupancy? And you should come out with an analysis of worst case, most likely, and best case scenario. And if you are not confident that this property is going to cash flow in a worst case scenario, it may not be one you want to invest in. That's kind of how I look at it. I'm really picky about what I buy. So do the analysis and do the time upfront to make sure that from an investment perspective, it's going to create the income to cover the expenses, even in a worst case environment. So tenant management, that's a big part of what we deal with. It's kind of like the teacher being mean on the first day of school. Like, we have to set expectations, okay? Rent is due on this day. Late fees will be assessed. If it is not paid by the 15th, you're going to get a pay or vacate notice that starts that 30-day clock. Everything takes time. And if your tenants start to get significantly behind on rent, it takes months to go through the eviction process. Then you have to take them to small claims court. Most likely they don't have the income to pay you back. I've gone so far as to try to garnish somebody's wages, but then they just changed jobs and I never found them again. So know that once it goes down that rabbit hole, it is very unlikely that you are going to be made whole. So you have to be kind of the mean teacher on day one. And I would say that's one of the hardest lessons I learned. Like, when I first started, I empathized with people. I felt for people. I would, give them time, give them a little bit more leeway. Now I'm a jaded old soul and it doesn't work that way anymore. No, you pay your rent and you pay it on time. And you take care of the properties too. Like, we expect our tenants to take care of their properties. Now, on the flip side, if they have a maintenance issue, we will address it. There has to be a level of respect. We have to respect that they're going to pay the rent, and they have to respect that we're going to properly maintain the apartment or whatever it is. So tenant management is all about setting expectations. Now, I have used a variety of apps and desktop softwares to kind of maintain the finances. Right now, my favorite, the one I'm using, is an app called Landlord Studio. It's actually free, and what I really like about it is its simplicity. Like, it's beautiful in its simplicity. We are not a major property management shop. We didn't need all the bells and whistles, and this one was really easy to use. The best part about it is probably the tenant communication. So I can just pull up a dashboard. I can see who's late, bloop, send a mass text or email out that's like, hey, your rent's overdue by X days. Just from an efficiency and a time perspective, time's not something I have a lot of. It's great. It probably doesn't have as robust of an accounting and reporting system as larger property managers need. It also doesn't have a mobile pay feature. So those are kind of the downsides, but it works perfect for me. Now, we are really starting to push mobile pay. We use Apple Pay and Venmo to collect that, but even in today's environment, most tenants just like the Dropbox. Like, install a $30 Dropbox on the properties, and that's how you're going to collect most of your rent. So that works out well on that side. What I would say, the final thing I would say is when you go into this type of an investment, think about your long-term goal, right? Like, it's just like everything else. It's just like if you're creating an investment account, your advisor is going to say, what's the goal of the account? I knew going into real estate that my goal was for it to actually pay for my children's education. Now, hopefully, it'll cash flow down the road and fund other goals, but I purposefully structured the financing to be paid off when my first child went to college. So, don't just do the analysis on the cash flow today, do the analysis in the future. What do you want this property to do for you? What kind of income do you want from it? Do you want a lot of income today? Are you just building up equity so you have income in the future? All of these things you have to analyze, again, just like if you were opening up an investment account. So that was how I did it and am doing it. Again, I'm sure you guys have some great ideas. So sound off in the comments below. Let me know how you invested in real estate, and let me know if you have any questions, because I'm happy to help. I just didn't know what all to touch on. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.